I think a lot of Black people don't want to do things that aren't cool. Everyone that you meet is a reflection of you. Sometimes you actually have to go through something to realize that it's like, oh dang, wait a second, that was my ego talking, like that wasn't me. Everything is always a safe place until it's not, right?
Oh.
It's almost been like a stigma when it comes to mental health in the Black community. It's okay to not be okay sometimes. Hey yo. Yo, they messing up my sound bites.
In your opinion, why is mental health important, especially for Black men?
I think mental health is important for everyone. I think historically, it's almost been like taboo or like a stigma when it comes to mental health in the Black community. But as it relates to Black men, we're supposed to be seen as the strong and almost stoic pillar to the family structure. And so a lot of times, and even when you're dealing with stuff, sometimes you might talk to your homeboy or your friend. It could be a family member or something, and they'll try to help you the best they can, but they're not professional. So they're gonna give you the best advice that they can. But at the end of the day, it's something that you're gonna have to deal with yourself.
Have you personally faced any challenges or stigmas related to mental health within the Black community?
I remember when I was in high school, I was dealing with some mental health issues, and I didn't even know that was a thing. It never even crossed my mind. And I want to say it was my mom. I think she asked me are you depressed? That was the first time anyone's ever said that. And even when she said that, it felt weird that word even came out of your mouth. Looking back, it's yes, I was. But also, I didn't even have the awareness to even seek out something like a therapy or even just talking to someone. It's just yo, I'm gonna just deal with this myself,
What obstacles do you believe exist for Black men who are seeking mental health support?
I think a lot of the barriers, to some degree, they are external because a lot of it has to do with culture and society. But when you really strip down the layers, it's all really internal. And I think all the barriers that people place are literally ones that they've placed in front of themselves. And sometimes the barriers can feel like a mountain, So it really is a matter of getting over your own ego, because that has a lot to do with it.
What coping mechanisms or self-care practices do you find effective for maintaining mental well-being?
Writing and reading, particularly self-help books. I wish I could just list off a bunch of books, but I will say a book that did resonate with me last week that I read was Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil. That book is immaculate. It's really helpful to just pinpoint where the devil tries to come in and consume your mind, because a lot of the times that's not even you having those negative thoughts. That's the devil creeping into your mind and putting those negative thoughts there. We can actually rewrite bad memories that we have that we keep replaying in our heads. When you write, sometimes you get to look at those memories and every time you actually remember a memory, it's not the exact memory that happened. When you actively try to rewrite those memories, over time they diminish, and it's almost like the barrier can be broken. In saying all of that, it really is about the internal work that needs to be done. Because like I said earlier, it's the mental barriers that turn into mountains that we put in our own minds, and it's really not as big as you think it is. I've been through a lot of traumatic shit in my life, to put it frankly. I try my best to detach from those memories as much as possible, because at the end of the day, I can't change the fact that they happened. So I can change the amount of time that I actually think about those things. And sometimes I'll meditate on it and actually envision myself cutting the cord to that memory. And that tends to help me a lot as well.
Is there anything about the intersection between Black culture and mental health that's important to shed light on?
I really like this question, because I was actually thinking about this the other day, because I was thinking about hip hop and as it relates to Black culture and the Black community. And a lot of people, myself included, we were raised on hip hop and, the hip hop culture. if you look at the history of hip hop, it's always been like a tool to like educate and mobilize and empower people. But then there's the other side of the coin where it can be very, hypersexual, like destructive, mentally taxing. And from my view, I would say in the last 10 to 15 years, I think it's become more open as far as mental health, and even like having it in the music and like certain artists actually like speaking up on it. And it's almost like mental health has become cool, And I think a lot of Black people don't want to do things that aren't cool. And like once upon a time, it was not cool to have those issues. It's like, oh no, that's a white person issue. We don't deal with that. Now I think the awareness is being raised and more people are being more accepting of it.
How can friends, family, and the community better support Black men in their mental health journeys?
I think it's happening more, but I would say people can be more accepting of people who are actually being vulnerable and talking about the issues that they're going through, because from what I've seen, sometimes that gets thrown back in their face. It's like everything is always a safe place until it's not, right? It does take relationships to allow certain transformations to happen, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
How do you think mass media is helping to destigmatize mental health?
I'll say this, because when I think about different movies and TV shows, I think the first time I actually ever saw a Black man in therapy on television was Atlanta, from my experience, I should say. And then he also had a Black man as his therapist, and I thought that was really cool. And I was like, man, this is my first time actually seeing that. Like, it's never been even a thought. Hopefully there's more media like that so that people can also get that same awareness that it's okay to not be okay sometimes.
How do you think art can be a form of therapy?
Sometimes just having a creative outlet can actually like calm your mind down, because in my experience, like sometimes like my brain, it gets loud, and like luckily for me, like I'm aware of that. I can be like, okay, wait a second, too much screen time, I'm overly stimulated. Let me go do something creative, something that I can just relax and just let my mind be free. Obviously, there's so many outlets as it relates to art that you can go through, but it is important to have some type of creative outlet so that you can freely express yourself without any type of constraint.
What would you say to a Black man who is dealing with mental health issues?
I would say if you're dealing with mental health issues, anything relating to overcoming any mental challenges, attempt to talk to somebody. And if you don't feel like you have a safe place, sometimes you do have to go within and do some internal work. And sometimes like that looks like just literally writing things out. Because I know for myself, I have to sometimes write things out to actually get a greater perspective on whatever it is I'm going through. And then I look back and I'm like, you know what, that actually wasn't such a big deal after all. It's easier said than done, but the fact of the matter is we have to get past those hurdles in order to be the person that we're meant to be. Black men, we can heal.